Hawaii la shemita niu konskatsi shohanka, nikajlia Hawaii, todaha nikajeshki, huitishki. Hello everybody, I'm Keir Johnson-Reyes. I'm an Osage Nation tribal member, and the Chief Stakeholder Engagement Officer with Intertribal Agriculture Council. Today I'll be moderating a panel called Advancing Outreach Strategies in Indian Country. This session is dedicated to exploring strategies for enhancing and fostering outreach in strong, results-driven partnerships in Indian Country. Our distinguished panel of USDA leadership will also focus responses on speaking directly to tribal producers and IAC stakeholders. We are privileged to have 3 USDA leaders with us who have demonstrated unwavering commitment to meaningful and productive relationships with tribal governments, tribal producers, and our communities. Each leader brings a unique perspective and expertise that aligns with the mission of the Intertribal Agriculture Council. Chief Cosby with the Natural Resources Conservation Service, Zach Ducheneaux, Administrator of the USDA Farm Service Agency, Marcia Bunger, Administrator of the Risk Management Agency, will be providing comments for today. Together, these leaders represent the strength of USDA's commitment to empowering tribal nations through strategic partnerships and resources. Their collective efforts underscore the importance of collaboration, trust, and respect for sovereignty, and their work aligns seamlessly with the objectives of today's session. We are eager to hear their insights and to learn more about the programs and initiatives that they have been leading to drive meaningful change in Indian Country. Please join me in welcoming the panelists. The first question is for Chief Cosby. Chief Cosby, introduce key components of the newly released NRCS Tribal Relations Strategy and how it will directly impact tribal producers and tribal governments who work with NRCS.
Good morning, and it's great to be here. Thank you to the IAC board for inviting me. Carrie Jo, great relationship working with her and the board, and also the regional and national staff at the IAC. It's great to be here this morning. You know, I'm very proud of what went into this strategy. Early on when I came into this job, I had a state conservationist in Washington State by the name of Rarlene Comes at Night, and she's talked to me about this extensively and saying, hey, we've been trying to do this for years. We need a strategy out there across this country, something that NRCS could live by and work by. And so over the last 2 to 3 years, it's become a reality. And so we're so happy that we could do this. And there was 5 different things that we've learned. Now, we've learned a lot. You know, coming into the job as NRCS chief, you know, there's a lot to learn. And out here in the West and all over the United States and Indian Country, there's a lot to learn. I made a lot of mistakes and still making them, but willing to go back and look at those mistakes and make sure that we do the right thing. And that's what it's about, doing the right thing. And it's something that this administration has really taught us, is that we want to really do the right thing. You know, this strategy that we've developed is just a starting point. We have a lot of more work to do, and I'm hopeful that it will continue. You know, some of the things that's in this strategy is filling positions. And we need to make sure that we have enough staff out there to do this work, whether it's in our field offices, whether it's in tribal districts, wherever it is. One of the things that's happening right now, I have put a position on my staff, the chief staff, a tribal position that's going to be there 24/7 every day, talking and working with whoever the chief is to make sure that we continue to make progress in the community. The other thing is providing our NRCS staff with the knowledge and skills that's needed to work in Indian Country. We need to continue to do that, and that's being developed. And implementing a tribal knowledge training plan. You know, one of the things is we talk a lot about it is the ecological knowledge and some of the things that you've done for hundreds and hundreds of years that has worked. And so why can't that be incorporated into our standards, the way we do work around the country? And so we have folks that are working with us to make sure that we're incorporating that ecological knowledge into the standards that we put together. And also making sure that we advance a lot of the work that you're doing out around tribal country and tribal lands. Folks, the work that you do and the partnership that we have with you is very important. NRCS is committed to this, and the staff here is committed to this. This year, we were able to bring 140 staff members from NRCS to this meeting because they need to learn. And it's all about learning. And if you can, and something that I've learned is the trust. If you can build a trustful relationship, you're going to have a positive relationship. And that's something that we're really trying to do.
Thank you so much, sir. Administrator Ducheneaux, discuss the importance of increasing tribal producer participation in FSA county and state committee processes. What message do you have for tribal producers in the room who may feel trepidation in participating given previous experience?
I would say think about those that came before you and the trepidation they felt, but they did it anyway. If it hadn't been for other people before us that did hard work, that did uncomfortable things, we wouldn't be here in a room full of Indian producers and practitioners doing this. So step up, step in there, serve on those committees, serve on the state committees. They're a key part of guiding policy. It's one of the very few places in the federal government where the folks that actually use the programs get to have a voice in the policy. Imagine if you could do that with your post office. You know, everybody'd be signed up to do that to fix their postal service tomorrow. At the FSA, you can serve on a committee that decides how the programs roll out. I do want to make one comment about the chief's crew that's here. You know, those tribal liaisons out there in the NRCS are some of the best champions we've got for Indian ag producers that exist. More times than I can count, I've seen them show up at this meeting out of their own pocket because they believe in what you all are doing and they want to learn as much as they can to help their producers. So hats off to my buddy Chief Cosby for getting them all here on purpose this time on our dime. Well done.
Thank you so much. Administrator Bunger, given ongoing impacts to tribal operations from recent extreme weather events, what strategies is RMA employing to increase insurance product utilization in Indian country? Please share some recent success stories.
Thank you for the question. And I also would like to thank both Zach and Terry, because I've been watching the timer up here, and they have now gifted me like another 5 minutes on top of the time. Yeah, the time that I have. RMA, Risk Management Agency. Everywhere I go, people look at me and say, "What is it?" It's crop insurance. It's commodity insurance. And over the last 3 to 4 years, RMA has grown exponentially with regards to the policies and products that are available. For the first time this year, I can now proudly say that we not only insure the plants in the ground, the beasts that walk the earth with our livestock products, but also now the creatures that swim the sea. We introduced a shellfish policy. I cannot stress enough to all of you, crop insurance is going to help sustain your operations. And what RMA has done over the last 3 years is to partner with many, many entities across the country. We've invested $17 million with risk management education. And one of the most proud partnerships that RMA has is the one that was conceptualized and brought to reality by RMA, and it's called Building Resiliency. Building Resiliency was a project started a little over 2 years ago with the Intertribal Ag Council as our main partner, where we partnered with them and they in turn added additional partners, Rural Coalition, Annie's Project, the the University of Alcorn State University. And what that project did was to go into communities where traditionally, historically, there's never been crop insurance agents, loss adjusters that looked like their communities. And what that partnership does is to recruit, train, get your license, and then assist with helping you find employment to be a crop insurance agent, to be a loss adjuster. Prior to my coming to RMA as the administrator, guess what I was doing? I was a crop insurance agent. I was an independent crop insurance agent supplementing my husband's and I's farm operation in rural South Dakota, where we have row crops and we have livestock. It was the most fun thing I've ever done. And I'm excited that I'm going to be able to return to my old life because I miss working one-on-one with producers. That goes without saying that I want you to all consider that, or maybe you know somebody that this would fit, that your love of your community, your love of agriculture can be done in this capacity. Is a great income stream for our operation, and it can be for yours too. And who better than you all to know what your communities, what your region needs with regards to crop insurance, livestock insurance, and now insurance that you can cover for the creatures that swim in the sea. In addition, we will be announcing soon additional RME risk management education partnership money. A year ago, and I'm going to have to read from my notes so that I get this right, we partnered with the Iroquois Tribal Confederacy Project. And what they've done is they've used that money to teach individuals on their reservations across North Carolina about what crop insurance is and what it can do to sustain agricultural operations in rural areas. It was a fantastic project. I know that I think they've initially reached at least 70 stakeholders. And so again, this type of partnership money is going to be announced here in the next month. So for tribal entities interested in doing something similar, please go to our website and take a look at those projects, because while grant writing can be overwhelming, it can be scary, what we've also put into our education outreach efforts is assistance to help with grant writing. A lot of large universities have staff, full-time staff, that's what they're dedicated to doing. They're dedicated to writing grants and seeing them through the completion. What this additional accessory in our toolbox for you is that we will help you write that grant. We will help you understand what the requirements are, and we will be there to help get you through the grant writing and the life of that partnership, that project. So those are just a couple of the things that RMA is doing. And before I turn it back, I do want to say thank you to Carrie Jo and her team. I have looked forward to this conference every year because you know what? As I continue to go out and meet with producers, there's still so many gaps with regards to the knowledge of crop insurance, commodity insurance, and what it can do. When I was listening to the video right before we came on, if you have a small operation, a very small operation, maybe you are supplying your local food banks with food, there are crop insurance products made to help you. So there's a lot of work to do. And even though we've accomplished a lot in the last 4 years, there is so much more that we can be doing.
Thank you very much. Chief Cosby, discuss how, with the recent growth of NRCS's partnership with IAC, results will be enhanced and well-informed service delivery to tribal producers may be realized.
You know, one of the great things about this job is working with these two, and we have to give Marcia a bad time whenever we can. I just want to remind her, when that clock goes to 0, you're supposed to stop.
Oh, that's what that clock
That's what it's for. But, you know, we have a very positive working relationship with IAC. This started back in 1987 when we were at the Soil Conservation Service. And our goals and our missions have been aligned since that time in all of the work that we've been doing across the country. And with this partnership agreement that we have, you know, it does a lot of things. One of the things is that it provides great outreach. I know Carrie Joe and our outreach director spends a lot of time talking about how do we do this, why do we do it, what type of information do we need to deliver, and I know it's been very effective. You know what works when you have folks that look like you that are out there providing that conservation technical assistance. It's a trust thing sometimes, and so we want to make sure that that's effective and we're using that. And so the other thing, when I came in this morning, I saw these students up here on the stage. That's very important that we get the youth involved. That is the future. We need to make sure that we're getting as many of those kids to major in agriculture so they can take these jobs and be in these jobs. They can go back to their communities and help in a meaningful way. And I think you get a lot more work done when you have folks that are from the community that are helping to do a lot of this work. The other thing is training my field staff. You know, we still have a lot to learn, and especially when we're out doing this important work. And every day is a learning and a training opportunity for our team. And we got to continue to do that. And I think that's why we're trying to make the commitment for our folks to be able to meet like this, because we pick up a little nuggets here and there and little tidbits here and here that's going to really help us. You know, when we look at our tribal colleges and the recruitment there, that's very important. And I know that I've seen from experience that some of these colleges are struggling financially. So how do we prop them up? How do we help them? And so we have these students that are graduating with ag careers and backgrounds that can come into the workforce. And the other thing is there's not enough folks out there. We've been struggling to fill all the positions that we have at NRCS with the investment from the Biden-Harris administration with over $19 billion that the president put into my budget. We've been trying to fill staff positions. We've had trouble finding range specialists and also engineers. So if you're out there, you're looking for a job, I'm always recruiting. If you got a resume, see me when I walk off the stage. We might be able to work something out. So, and even if you got a meaningful job of working for some other outfit, we'll take you. It has been a great pleasure to serve as chief and also working with IAC. And the greatest thing of all is working with these two individuals. We have a lot of fun. When we get together, and we don't see each other very often because we're out all over the country doing things, and it's hard to get us all in one room. So I'm glad to see them here this morning. But folks, these folks are amazing, and they've done a great job doing this administration.
Thank you so much. Administrator Ducheneaux, describe field-based outcomes that evidence how new tools and structural elements of FSA programming support tribal producers seeking to realize growth in their businesses.
Man, that's a dense question, Keir. Might be appropriate that you're asking the dense guy, I suppose. One of the things that I want to stress is the proof is in that outcome. And very early on in this administration, we thought we hit a grand slam home run with tribal CREP agreements. We rolled out a $500 million opportunity to 3 tribes in South Dakota. I was so proud of it, I wouldn't even let them put South Dakota in the press release. I said, no, those are not South Dakota tribes. Those are Great Plains tribes. They were here first. And we didn't hit the mark with that. We didn't have a good outcome. We got maybe 100,000 acres enrolled out of 3 million in opportunity. So we need to learn from that. That's one of the field-based outcomes that we've got to really embrace. We missed the mark. We didn't get the message out there right so that producers felt comfortable enough and our cooperators feel comfortable enough to support producers in taking advantage of that. That would have been a $13 to $15 per acre rental payment for every acre of tribal land on those reservations, on top of what they're already getting. And somehow we missed the mark. So we have to learn from that as we continue to roll out other programs. We've had some that have been really good successes. The changes we've made to the livestock disaster programs have had fantastic field-based outcomes. We've seen cow herds stay together to realize the cattle markets of today. We've been able to leverage those connections across reservation communities to where folks down south have the feed that's needed up north to keep that cattle herd together. We can help them get together and do trade like we used to in the old days. That's a radically successful field-based outcome. Some of those producers who have been able to use those programs in the last few years are realizing record calf prices for the second year in a row. Imagine if we hadn't made the changes to those programs and they had to liquidate the mother herd because it was too dry 2 years ago. And now they're looking at their neighbors who had the means, who have had historical access to these programs, continue to reap these benefits. We brought them inside that deal, and I'm really proud of the work we did there. But we need to make sure that we work closely with our producers and our stakeholders in the future when we roll out these opportunities, because sometimes they have radical success, sometimes they're terrific disaster. The good thing about the tribal CREPs is they're 10, 15-year agreements. As more acres of CRP become available, there's still a chance to get to that 3 million in enrollment. And each of the contracts that are entered into under those tribal CREPs, you're not competing with your neighbors that have been in this for 50, 60 years. That's an exclusive pool of access for tribal producers. You apply, you get in. You get in, you get cost share dollars. There's a couple of gals here in the audience that are working on our policies to make sure that we bring those cost shares to a more equitable level to what the chief can do with EQIP. We're working with the chief to try to make those programs more compatible with each other so you don't have to pick or choose. There's still opportunity there because those agreements are going to span beyond this administration. But I think that's what I'd like to share about that. We got to look to both kinds of outcomes and learn from each one.
Thank you very much. Administrator Bunger, describe opportunities, complexities, and helpful tools that tribal producers should be knowledgeable of when considering insurance products and engaging with RMA and/or the crop insurance industry.
Probably to follow up on Administrator Ducheneaux's comments about CRP grasslands, there is a product out there that I'm hoping has become more familiar over the last couple years with the knowledge of it, and that's called PRF, Pasture Rangeland Forage. It's a phenomenal risk management tool that assists producers, livestock producers, in the times of drought. You know, so that's one product that I think if you haven't heard about it or you've maybe dabbled in it, share the knowledge that you have gotten from utilizing that PRF policy. In addition, there's another product called Whole Farm Revenue. And Whole Farm Revenue isn't a commodity-specific type of policy, but it's whatever you want to bring in under your umbrella of your policy. So you might be a very diverse producer. You might be growing fruits and vegetables. You may also have other livestock that are not covered currently by RMA. Basically, I'm thinking of sheep right off the top. But that Whole Farm Revenue policy is something that you may want to look at and consider. I want to, though, let you all know that tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, that RMA is going to be having a breakout session with Jeremy Notafraid, an RMA senior policy individual out of the RO office out of Billings, Montana. He will be doing the presentation along with Gilbert Lewis. Gilbert Lewis was recently named as our RMA tribal ambassador. So they will be hosting a breakout session to educate and inform anyone interested about the policies that RMA has. It's not in my notes, But I also want to key off of, I got 3 minutes and I'm going to use them all. The topic about getting involved. I worked at FSA for 25 years. I saw the importance of having diversity at the table when it came to county committee members. Please, please, please consider doing that, getting involved that way, because recently the Secretary of the Department announced 3 new Federal Crop Insurance Corporation board members, and one of those is Ryan Langford from Montana. He is from a reservation there. He also currently is the state FSA chair. I am so grateful that the secretary appointed him. He has, in his one meeting, so impressed everybody. We have a producer from Indian country that knows about insurance, that knows about his region, knows the importance of crop insurance. And so don't just lay back in the weeds. Get involved. We need all of your voices to make the difference as we move forward. Thank you.
Keir, if I might, real quick.
Please.
Thank you, ma'am. I didn't realize what the timer was for at the beginning, so I've got some time left on the county committees to talk
I'll
about.
yield some of my minutes.
Should talk a little bit about what the county committees do. You may have drought or disaster in your county right now today. The county committee is the pathway for kicking in our emergency conservation program. And oftentimes that county committee is used as a scapegoat for a CED that doesn't want to do it. So if you're on the county committee, you actually have a voice that can guide your county executive director. And by the way, you get to review them and decide whether they stay in that role. It's a critical part of making sure that producers get access to programs. And in my ideal world, that county committee and that state committee would only be permissive boards. We should build policies that do the restriction and not put that in the hands of our people. And the county committees can tell us when we get it wrong and open that door up. We had a case of a producer in Nebraska, just outside of Indian country, but took advantage of the fact that my phone number was out there in the public sector, called me. He's a county committee member. He was told by his CED, because he would benefit from the program, he can't recommend that the program be triggered. What the hell's he on there for? I mean, that's exactly the county committee's role. He's not approving his application. One of the shortcomings that we're trying to address at the agency is making sure the role of the county committee is more clearly explained. We got a lot of conversation from our friends on the Equity Commission about county committees, and it took 3.5 years to convince them that county committees don't have a role in loan making anymore. But they do have a critical role in getting policy out there to producers and being permissive to get folks in the door, as do our state committees. So just wanted to highlight that a little bit and use up the rest of my 5 minutes.
So glad you did. Thank you so much. Well, I want to go ahead and just really appreciate you all and ask for a round of applause from the audience for the partnership to Indian country that each of you represent. It means so much to us at the IAC, and we're so appreciative of the opportunity to learn from you some more here today. So thank you very much. Take care.